All right. Okay. So before we went to the very last part of macroeconomics, we understand the government objectives, or you can say the economic objectives, and these are the five, right? Yeah, we introduced the last two, in the previous lesson, talking about the redistribution of income and also balance of payment stability, right? Yeah, talking about the exports and import. Okay, here talk about the fairness, the equity. All right, we talk about income equality, and based on all the objectives right here. All right, now we will get to the last part of macroeconomics, where we are going to use some policies to achieve specific goals, okay, to achieve specific objectives in here. All right, okay, so you see the flow, yeah, you see the logic here, okay, and yeah, based on last lesson, we are going to introduce fiscal policy. All right, fiscal policy, and just a quick recap right here. Fiscal policy, we always focus on, the demand side. All right, yeah, and you guys did answer the question. Demand side, we are always trying to do something in order to change the AD. So that's demand side policy, and fiscal is just one of them. Okay, so yeah, so there will be some tools that we are going to use in fiscal policies where they will affect the AD. Okay, yeah, and I remember last lesson Alex did make some very good answer why sometimes you would like to decrease the AD. Yeah, because you want to stabilize the economy. You want to reduce the inflation. That is very good. Okay, so that is going to be part of what this policy going to do. Okay, or to achieve. All right. Okay. Yeah. So now we are just gonna look at how we can utilize fiscal policies. Okay, the concept is super simple. All right, so from now on, you just need to put yourself into the mind of a government. All right, yeah, because this topic here is way more flexible than what we are teaching. All right, so as long as you can do your real application, things are going to be much more understandable. All right, okay, yeah, so you need more application from now on. So activate your big brain. All right, yeah. So fiscal policy, so simple. We just manipulate two things. Okay, we manipulate two items in order to achieve different government objectives, and these are the two items. All right, so we would try to change the level of government revenue. Okay, and at the same time, we might want to do something to change the level of government expenditure. So here, I would say is government spending. All right. In our curriculum, when we talk about government revenue, we always talk about tax revenue, right? But in the reality, there are so many more types of government revenue that you can receive from different areas. All right, but here we always focus on taxes. Okay, yeah. So once you are able to change one of them, or both of them, then you can achieve different objectives. Julian, your question is what's the question? The different. Oh yeah. So now I just want you to think about it. Yeah. So besides tax revenue, where do you think the government can receive, money from the public? Fines. Yeah, that's very good, Matthew. Yeah, fines. If you violated the laws, some laws, okay, then you pay fines. Yeah, then the money will go to the government, right? So, well, they're not trying to fine you to make money. Okay, that is more like a consequence when you are breaching the law. Okay, but at the same time, look, they can use the money, return it back to the society. That's another objectives that they can achieve. All right, but besides fine, what else do you think the government can do to receive money? Anything? Come on. Look at our society. how do we get money from people? Yeah, yeah, that's why you need more application. Real application will help you. Yes, governments, they do invest. Okay, the money they received from people, which is us, okay, they will utilize that money and they'll reinvest into different financial assets. Okay, and usually the central bank does it. Okay, so at the end, if they did a great job, then they'll get profits, and they'll put the profit back to that reserved, and reinvest again and again and again. Okay, so that is also a way to earn money for the government. Anything else? Come on, guys. Yeah, anything. Yeah, if you have any thoughts. Yeah. Yes, Myra, yes. So if you have any state-owned enterprises, because those enterprises, they owned by the government, so the money that they earn, it will go to the government. All right. So if the government is owning the water supply, electricity, you name it. Okay, the money that they received will go to that reserve. So always imagine there is a vault. Okay, in the central bank, and whatever money that you receive from people, the money will go to that vault. Okay, and they will use the money for different purposes. Okay, any other ideas? What about Hong Kong? Yeah, Hong Kong. What? Yeah, what are we good at in Hong Kong when it comes to, like every year, people from the private sector, they buy something from the government. They always buy something from the government. What is it? Something that is so expensive. Yeah, they buy it in order to make something even more expensive. Exactly. Yeah, the government, they sell lands. I shouldn't use the word sell, because technically the government is not selling lands to the private sectors. They are just landing, the lands. Okay, there is always a period, but I'm not gonna go to the details. You might want to do some research. Okay, yeah, but people, when they talk about it, usually they call it selling lands. Okay, so yeah, so there you go. And some in some other different areas. So with the answers in the chat, okay, I'm pretty sure you understand how they get the revenue from. Okay, so that's very good. And you can actually look at how we earn revenue in Hong Kong. So right here, it's not the most updated fiscal budget. Is for 2018 to 2019, but it's very similar. Okay, so for that year, they spend this amount of money. I mean, they earn this amount of money. That's a huge amount of money. Okay, from the right hand side, you can see they are all different kinds of taxes, like profit tax. Yeah, so when we talk about profit tax, where do they receive profit tax from? Yeah, the firms. Okay, yeah. And what about salary tax? Yeah, people like me. Okay, the labor, the workers. Okay, they pay salary tax. So and for stamp duties. So sometimes when you are buying stocks, then you have to pay stamp duties. When you are buying properties, you have to pay stamp duties. So that is just another kind of tax. All right. So on the right hand side, that is just tax. So you can see, look. When you look at this circle, it's basically like a pie chart. So taxes, they are already, the majority of the revenue for our government, like every year. Yeah, it's like more than 50%. Yeah, when you look at it, more than 50%. And for the rest of it, investment income, you guys gave me that, and land premium, yeah, you guys got it, and some other revenue like fines and some other stuff. Robin, yeah. So 利得稅 is profit tax. And there are so many different terms for profit tax. For IGCSE, we would use the term corporate tax. Okay, so when you're writing your answer, it's better to write corporate tax instead of profit tax. Okay, all right, yeah, make sure you get that term correctly. All right, but I think they do have some flexibility on that one. Okay, just to be yeah. So yeah, Julian, yes. If you are not earning any profit, why should you pay profit tax? Okay, it's only when you earning profit then you will pay taxes. So I don't know if any one of you, your family, they have businesses. If you observe, maybe not from your family, from your friends. Okay, sometimes when you guys go out for dinner or lunch, after the lunch or dinner, they may ask for the receipts. Yeah, did you guys observe that? Any one of you observe that? Yeah, they might ask for receipts. Anyone got that experience? Yeah, maybe some of you had it. But do you know why they always ask for the receipt? Even that was just just a personal or private lunch or dinner to claim money. Well, you could use that word to claim, but it's just another way to get away with profit tax. Yeah, to calculate it as a spending, but at the end, that is just your personal spending. So you shouldn't put that personal spending into your business. If you do it, it's basically illegal. Okay, but it's just the administrative cost is too big. All right, the tax department, they don't have that much money to do all the investigations on all the firms, and that's why people they just get away with it using that trick. Okay, all right, yeah, you can say that's a kind of tax evasion, and we will talk about tax evasion in this part as well. Yeah. So this is what we do. Sometimes we just step ourselves into a gray area, and we play with it. Yeah, but it's still illegal. Okay, all right. Yeah, right. But when you look at expenditure, right here, I think you all have some very good understanding what they are going to spend on after they earn that much money. Okay, yeah. So like education, health, social welfare, infrastructure, yeah, you name it. Okay, yeah. So they are going to spend the money that they earn back to the society. All right, yeah, and you can see the proportion of different areas that they spend every year. Okay, well education, they do spend a lot of money in education. What else? Infrastructure, yeah, I think so. When you talk about 2018 and 19 in Hong Kong, I think they still have a lot of construction work going on. Yeah, so it makes sense, right? Yeah, so I would say on the left hand side, these are the most important things that they would spend on. All right. So when you are writing some of your answers, it's always good to provide examples. Okay. So when you explain, okay, so now when we earn more revenue, we can spend more on education, health, or social welfare, infrastructure, yeah, etc., etc. Okay, all right, yeah. So this is just the case in Hong Kong, and when you look at the two figures, right, the revenue and expenditure. So what can you tell us? The revenue here and expenditure. What can you tell us? Yeah, they're earning a profit for that year. They're earning a profit for 2018 to 2019. Okay, but we have a different term for that. So for this chapter, we have so many terminologies. Okay, many terminologies. Just hang in there. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about so many terminologies, and as long as you understand the terminologies and you use them in your exam, you will be just fine. Okay, so instead of saying profit, what do you think we should use for that word? If you're not using profit, what else can you use to show that, okay, so now there is some extra left? Yeah, it's not even an econ question. Like, what kind of word would you use? Oh yeah, Myra. Yeah, surplus, right? Just like that. Okay. So now, look, I'm gonna give you three terminologies. Every time when we talk about government budget, okay, or you call that fiscal budget, yeah, because fiscal, once again, we focus on the government revenue and government spending. All right. So when we talk about fiscal, then we every year we have a budget. Okay. Every year we have a budget, and if the budget, look, when you look at the revenue and expenditure, if the revenue is bigger, then it's a surplus. Then you know what budget deficit is. Okay, if you know what budget surplus is. Okay, all right, yeah. So I think you all got that, right? So deficit, just the opposite. All right, just the opposite. And what about balanced budget? Yeah, done. Okay, all right. Three terminologies. Sometimes you will see that in your definition question, and they will ask you for the possibilities of government budget. So you just have to show them, right? There are three possibilities. Done. Simple. Okay. So what if the society is having a budget surplus? So what do you think will happen to the people? So if okay, well, yeah. In this case, if you are trying to use the term balanced budget, they should be the same. Okay, so technically, they should be the same in order to get a balanced budget. All right, but in the reality, it's so difficult to achieve that. Okay, I think we all get the general consensus on that one. Yeah, right. But we do have that terminology. Okay, all right. Yeah. So here's the case: if the government is having a budget surplus for this year, do you think the people, they are better off or worse off at that moment? Why they are better off at that moment? So I'm talking about that moment, at that moment. So the reason why, yeah, you can explain it. Yeah, why better if the government is having budget surplus? Oh, okay, all right. So Julian, that is in the long run. Yeah, you got that idea. When you have a surplus, the government, they have more money, so later they can redistribute the money into the society. Okay, Matthew, worse off since services received is less than the money paid. Yeah, so here, if we look at that moment, so you see, once again, economics, we always focus on different times. Okay, all right. Sometimes you want to discuss about the short run. Sometimes you want to discuss about the long run. And in this case, I wouldn't say, Julian, your answer is incorrect. Okay, because it's also correct. But now, when we are just focusing on what happens immediately or in the short run, then it will be just like Matthew said. Okay, yeah, because you can tell the government is receiving more from the public than they give away. All right, so people, they should be worse off in this case in the short run. Okay, so I would say people's wealth is decreasing in this case. So for budget deficit, it's just the opposite. Okay, because now the expenditure is more than the revenue. So you can tell the government is paying more to the society than it received. Okay, all right, does it make sense? Cool. Yeah. So for budget balance, nothing is happening. Okay, no effect, right? Just like that. Okay, all right. So make sure every time when we are talking about economics, look, always think more, okay, than just one particular a moment or one particular time period. Okay, you should think about all the possibilities along different time periods. Okay, so that you can create a very comprehensive answer in your essay writing and etc. etc. Okay, all right, because you always need to go beyond that. So there are so many ways to look at economics, and we shouldn't look at economics like a 2D object, like a two dimensional object. Okay, it is always a 3D object. All right, you need to look at it from different sides and different angles, and you will see something different. All right, yeah. So that's government budget. All right, hope you get that idea, and yeah. So now I'm gonna give you two more terminologies. Okay, all right. There are many terminologies here, and they are expansionary fiscal policy and contractionary fiscal policy. Okay, both of them, they will affect the AD differently. So here, have a guess. What do you think expansionary fiscal policy will affect the AD? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, right. Yeah, So yes, guys. So for contractionary, it's just the opposite. Okay, so guys, so mark this down. For expansionary fiscal policy, so simple. You are using the two items that we talk about in order to increase the AD. And for the contractionary fiscal policy, you are using the same two items that we talk about to reduce the AD. Okay? All right? Yeah. And very soon I'm going to, we are going to make a mind map for ourselves. So yeah, we'll see. So right here, if now you understand, for expansionary fiscal policy is to increase the AD, and for contractionary fiscal policy is to decrease the AD. So how are you going to play around with the two items when you're using expansionary policy? What are you going to do with the two items when you want to achieve expansionary fiscal policy? So you have the two items here. What are you going to do with the two items? Okay, increase government spending. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, if you increase the spending, so what will happen to the people? Yeah, so here, look, we are going to develop our points bit by bit, right? So, yeah, increase in people's wealth. And when people's wealth is being increased, what will happen? Yeah, they were more likely to spend, right? Okay, and at the end, the AD is going to increase. If you have those points with you in your answer, you will do great in your exam. All right, so don't just stop in the first point. You always want to go ahead and further elaborate your points. Okay, all right. Yeah, so that's one item that you can manipulate in order to achieve expansionary fiscal policy. But what about the other item here? What should we do with it in order to achieve expansionary fiscal policy? So government revenue. What do you think? Any thoughts? Okay, get less. Right. So, when we just focus on tax revenue, yeah. Okay, so in this curriculum, just focus on tax revenue. So if I'm using what Julian is saying, as long as we reduce the tax so people have more. When people have more, then you will see they will have the same effect as what Myra just elaborated. Okay, all right? Point 2 and point 3 in the chat. All right, yeah? So that's how you use expansionary fiscal policy to achieve economic growth. Yeah, does it make sense? Okay. But what about contractionary fiscal policy? What are you going to do if you're using contractionary fiscal policy for the two items? Yeah, come on, some other people contribute in the chat, right? for contractionary fiscal policy? Come on, for other people, answer the questions. So how are you going to play with the two items when you are trying to use contractionary fiscal policy? Okay, you cut spending or you raise tax. Yeah. So you either do one or you do both. All right. Yeah, just the opposite of expansionary fiscal policy. Yeah, I think we all get that idea by now. Okay. So and the elaboration will be just the opposite. Okay. If you turn the elaboration from Myra in the opposite way, that's the elaboration for contractionary fiscal policy. Okay, because just imagine if you cut spending, people they have less wealth and they spend less. Okay, so at the end, the AD is gonna decrease, right? All right. So when look, when AD is decreasing, inflation rate is gonna decrease as well. Imagine that diagram, yeah, in your head. Okay. Same goes to taxation. When the government is increasing the tax or the tax rate, you receive less income, so you spend less, so AD decreases. Okay, yeah, right. So there you go, and by using different fiscal policies, we can achieve different objectives. Okay, so here, yeah, once again, it's just summary for you guys. Okay, so look at the pictures and yeah, you get the ideas. All right. So at the end, we want to affect AD. Okay, expansionary right here, yeah, to increase the AD, and for contractionary, just the opposite. So at the end, when you can achieve, so on the left hand side, when you can achieve higher AD, economic growth is gonna be better, and if you see economic growth, then the employment is going to be better because we need more people, right? And when you have more jobs, when you have higher salaries, for sure, okay, disposable income, okay, going to be increased, and you can spend more money on different goods and services. Life is good, okay, yeah. But at the same time, contractionary is just the opposite, okay, right? So, any questions so far? Are we good? Yeah, so many terminologies. Talk about the budget. The budget, we have 3 terminologies. Talk about fiscal policy, we have 2 more terminologies. Okay, yeah, and the term of demand side policy. That's a lot. All right. Any questions so far? Yeah, just feel free to ask questions. If you have any of them. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go make ourselves a mind map. Okay. I would say, look, for macroeconomics, it's always good to make yourself a mind map. Mind map is so important in macroeconomics, because everything can be linked together. All your government objectives, all the policies that you are going to learn, they can be linked together. So mind map is good for your revision and understanding for sure. All right. So let's try to make one. Okay. So I'm gonna demonstrate it once, and for the rest, I think you can do it by yourself. All right. Okay. Yeah. And look, so now we want to talk about policies. Okay, so let's start it off with demand side policy. Yeah, you have demand side policy right here. Okay, and look, once again, when we're using demand side policy, what are we trying to influence? What are we trying to influence when we are using demand side policy? Come on, yeah. If you know the answer, just type the answer quickly, right? Just be efficient. Yeah, right? We want to affect the AD, okay? So we want to affect the AD. Okay, so there is another step right after that affect the AD. Okay, and talking about demand side policies, what policies do we have? Okay, we have fiscal. Yeah, we have fiscal, and do you still remember the other one? Yeah, monetary. Yeah, monetary policies are more complicated. Okay, so it is about money. All right, I'm pretty sure you have heard of it. When the government they print more money, that is basically a monetary policy. Okay, and I don't know if you have heard about the term. Yeah, well, I think we talked about it. Yeah, are we? Yeah. About QE. Yeah, I think we talked about it. So monetary policy. We'll talk about it in the next chapter. So monetary policy. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Okay, monetary policies. Okay. All right. Yeah. So now we have got a basic structure. So for fiscal policies, what are the two types of fiscal policies again? What are they? What are the two types of fiscal policies that we can use to affect the AD? Okay, expansionary fiscal policy and contractionary fiscal policy, right? Yeah, very good, guys. Expansionary fiscal policies and contractionary. Okay. All right. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. So how do we do it for expansionary fiscal policy? Spend more, get less. Yeah. There you go. So GOV spending increases, and tax decreases. Okay, so here I'm just gonna use some very simple wordings for the mind map. Okay, yeah, so you can edit your mind map, using your own interpretation. And for contractionary, it's just the opposite. I think you all get that. Okay, so here decrease the government spending and increase the taxes. All right, yeah, so there you go. All right, so here you have a very basic structure, all right, for the policy. So now we want to link the policies to different government objectives. All right, so I'm going to make some more boxes. So this time I'm going to use green one. Can you all tell me some government objectives? What are the government objectives? Come on. Oh, okay. All right, economic growth. Yeah, I'm gonna follow you guys. What else? Okay, price stability. What is it? What is price stability? Balance between inflation and deflation. Okay, yeah, that's very good. What else do we have? Okay, redistribution of income. Yeah, we just learned about that. I think you know what that is. It's about the fairness of distributing income and full employment, right? Yeah, full employment to have a good amount of people being employed, okay, in our society. There's one more, which is very not common. Okay, yeah, that term we rarely heard about that term, but do you still remember? Or balance of payment. Yeah, a stable balance of payment. So here, look, because for that topic it's going to be more complicated. So here I'm not going to discuss that. Okay, so for now I'm not going to discuss balance of payment. But you do want to link it back to the policies when you learn about balance of payment in detail. All right. So now I'm just going to focus on these four. Okay. yeah, for the economic objectives. So, all right, so there you go. Okay, so we are all set. So let's make an assumption. So let's say now the government, so government is trying to boost the economy. So, which fiscal policy should we use? Yeah, expansionary, right? Yep. So, so that's the case. Expansionary fiscal policy. So we are going to, increase some government spending, and we want to decrease some taxes as well, right? Okay, so that's how we do it in order to achieve the goals. So, if we want to explain economic growth, if the government is using fiscal policies, okay, what can they do exactly? What can they do exactly to achieve, economic growth? So now we know, okay, more government spending or reducing taxes. But can you tell me something more specific? What kind of government spending that you would use, and what kind of taxes would you decrease in order to create, an economic growth? Okay, salary tax decrease. Okay, increase subsidies. Oh, that's very good. Okay. Anything else? Okay, decrease profit tax. Okay, that's very good. Okay. So now I think we can focus on spending. So yeah, it's good to increase subsidies. So I guess, Matthew, you are trying to say to subsidize the producers. So that's pretty nice. Anything that is more specific. So what kind of spending do you think you are going to use to create an economic growth? Any real life application that you can use nowadays? So is our government using any spending to boost economic growth recently? Or pay workers? Yeah. So yeah, to pay workers, and at the end, workers, they have more income, so that they are more likely to spend, right? Okay. So you see here the points bit by bit. All right. You further develop that one point. Okay. At the end, you achieve, the objective. Employment scheme. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Anything else that you see from our government? Our government did something trying to boost the economy. Oh, give free money? Yeah, that 10K. All right, yeah, 10K. That is also a fiscal policy. All right, you're paying 10K to people to encourage them spending. Does it make sense? Okay, so that is actually a fiscal policy. Yeah. Okay, so when you are trying to make your logic right, okay, for economic growth, you can start it off with the formula of economic growth, the formula of GDP. Do you still remember the formula? What's the equation for economic growth, for GDP, for calculating GDP? Do you still remember? Well, that is one way to calculate it. What about if I tell you, the expenditure method, the equation for the expenditure method? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, C plus G. Okay, consumption plus government spending plus investment plus net export. That's your GDP. Okay, that's everything for the components that would which will give you the GDP. So if we use this logic right here, then we can fit in different policies into different components so that we can achieve economic growth separately, okay, all right, or individually, right? So when you talk about the payout, the 10K payout is for the C, because if you pay people the 10K, people they will spend more money, okay, yeah. So yeah, so you can say spending on consumers, right? Like 10K, okay. True, true. But Julian, you also want to think about another perspective. Okay, just because the government is spending more on the people, it doesn't mean that the GDP will grow. Because at the end of the day, it's up to the people if they are going to spend that money. If you receive that 10K and you put it under your bed, then you will never see an increase in GDP. Yeah? So it's all about the consumer confidence at this point. Okay? If the consumers they don't feel confident, they're not going to spend. If they're not spending, GDP is not going to grow. All right. So sometimes we also need to put some psychological aspect into our thinking. Yeah. But that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. All right. So if you want to increase consumption, I guess spending on consumers like the 10K will do, or maybe like who said reducing salary tax. Yeah, Julian, you talk about reducing salary tax. Yeah, reducing salary tax. So if the workers, the salary tax is being reduced, they have more money to spend. Okay, so reducing salary tax. Yeah, that also work, right? Okay. Yeah. So you see how we go, right? When you talk about investment, some of you said reduce profit tax. Yeah, which is true. If the companies they can earn more profits because now the profit tax they are being reduced, then they have more capability to spend the money back in investment. Okay, does it make sense, right? Or if the government if they're able to subsidize those firms, or like subsidizing, yeah, like what Matthew said, subsidizing, yeah, or subsidizing firms, right? Firms, they will have more money to spend on investment, spend on new machines, new technologies, more R&D, right? The economy will grow, okay, possibly, all right, yeah. And if you are talking about the government spending, I think we haven't mentioned that. Based on a case in Hong Kong, we spend so much on infrastructure. If we do, look, if we want to build more infrastructure, what should we do? What do we need to recruit? Yeah, we need workers. Okay, we need like materials, etc., etc. That will boost the output as well. Okay, yeah, you see that, right? Like like building more infrastructure. That is just one example. You can use other examples. Okay, all right. Yeah, and for annex, I think any policy that will boost exports will help. Okay, maybe subsidizing the exporting industries, that will help. Okay, so this is the way we should use to analyze the logic for government policies and also government objectives. All right, right here. So if we are aiming for this objective, so the government is trying to boost the economy, what will happen to the price stability? What will happen to it? Come on, guys. Inflation. What kind of inflation? You need the term. Yeah, terminology. Yeah, demand pool, right? So if you do that, then you will see demand pool inflation possibly. Okay, because the AD is increasing. Demand pool inflation. Okay, because AD increases. All right. Yeah. All right. So if that's the case, look, if you have a not if you have an unstable growth in your country, then at the end, possibly you will find some very severe consequences because of that, because of the demand pool inflation. Okay, so if you just go back to your inflation chapter and look at the consequences, yeah, if you see a huge inflation in this case, then it's going to be bad. So how are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix it if you see a very huge inflation in this case? So now we're boosting the economy, but at the end, we see, all right. So at the end, you might want to use this one right here, contractionary fiscal policy, to fix it. Okay, so as a government, we always tweak our policies. Sometimes we want to boost it. Sometimes we want to stabilize it. All right, because when we move one object, some other objects will be moved as well, because they are all interdependent. All right, yeah. So in different years, you will see different policies because of that. Okay, all right. What about redistribution of income? If we are trying to boost the economy, what do you think will happen to the redistribution of income? What do you think? Yeah, there could be a lot of possibilities, but I just want to hear as many possibilities as possible. So what will happen? Well, Julian, you were still in the contractionary part. Oh, okay. Oh, for like yeah, but here, look, I'm not trying to say how do we achieve redistribution of income. I'm trying to say, if the government is trying to boost the economy and they are using expansionary fiscal policies, what will happen to the redistribution of income? Yeah. So this is the question, because we are trying to use one scenario, okay, to understand how it affects all the objectives. Redistribute more to the poor. Well, again, yeah, this is how we improve redistribution of income. But I want you guys to apply into this case. So now we're using expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, so wealthy people becomes more rich. Can you explain it, Robin? Yeah, so now we're using this scenario. Okay, if we're using expansionary fiscal policies. Yeah, Julian Zhongwen is going to help improving the redistribution of income. Yes, but now we are just trying to apply the scenario into this one, expansionary. Robin, any explanation why the wealthy people becomes more rich? Okay, because all people receive the money from government. Okay, all right, but if all people they are receiving money from the government, then there should be no effect, right? Because the poor people, they will receive the same amount of money as the rich people. You know what I mean? Oh, so you're saying because the government is not giving you the 10K, and that's why you see some people they are getting richer, and some people they are not. Is it what you're saying? Oh, okay. Yeah, but I think, yeah, for the 10K, if you're receiving that 10K, then the other people they're also receiving the 10K. So at the end, you don't see much uh, effect to the redistribution income. So both poor people and the rich people, they all have, some increase in income, right? But rich people is adding on to their capital, but they're just using the same amount of money to add on to their capital, right? So if you just talk about like a fixed value, then it wouldn't change much. Yeah. But what do you think about the taxes? No tax for some poor people. Um, well, yeah. If you are poor enough, then you don't really need to pay tax. Yeah. So for some people, uh, they are poor enough to get exemption. Um, okay, maybe because the money given to rich people will not redistribute back to the poor. Um, well, that's true. Yeah, in the reality, that is pretty true. Okay, rich can save much more on income tax. Yeah, James, I think that's a good idea, right? Yeah, because we haven't learned the details about taxes. Once you learn the details about taxes, then you will get a much better understanding. So here, I'm just trying to ask the questions based on your general knowledge. Okay, so James, I think you got some very good points. Okay, so think about this: when the government they're spending, okay, when the government they are reducing the taxes, let's say they are reducing the salary tax, okay, so when they reduce the salary tax, usually the rich people they'll be more capable of earning higher income, okay, all right, compared to the poor people. So just imagine this: the poor people, whether or not the taxes are being reduced, they will pay zero for the tax. Okay? But for the rich people, once the policy is being imposed, they will have better wealth in that case. So, on one side, the poor people stay the same. On the other side, the rich people, they're getting more rich. Okay? So, do you see the gap is being widened because of that case? Okay? So, that could be the reason. Okay? All right? Yeah. All right. Cool. So on one side, I could say, so reducing taxes may increase increase the gap of income inequality. Well, or I should make it more specific. In reducing tax rate, increasing tax percentage. Well, look, but also look. That's why you need to think about in the 3D dimension. Look at this. Look at this logic here. How we are going to boost the economy using the equation of economic growth. Look at look at G, building more infrastructure. Do you think this action will improve redistribution of income or reduce the redistribution of income if the government decided to build more infrastructure? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it depends on what policies, what specific policies that the government is using. Okay, is implementing. All right. So if you are improving some infrastructure, you need more jobs. When people they have more jobs, their income level will increase. So it really depends, and that's why there's not a fixed answer that you will find in some areas. For some areas, look, if the government can spend more on creating jobs, okay, so it'll be improved. All right, yeah. So income equality will be improved in this case. Okay, so you get that idea. Yeah, when you're looking at the policies and the objectives, you just have to be, look, you know, thinking from different angles. Okay, so you will see different answers. And for full employment, I think the answer is so obvious. So if you're using expansionary fiscal policies, what will possibly happen to full employment? What will possibly happen to the employment in our society if this is the scenario? Yeah, right. Creating more jobs and increase employment rate. Yeah. So for sure, for this objective here in general, it's gonna be great. Okay, it's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a smile right here to show. Look, it's gonna be great. So look, before we finish the lesson, take a look of this mind map. This is the kind of logic that you need to have in order to have a good understanding for this entire unit. And that's why I told you many times, macroeconomics is not comprised of different chapters. This is one chapter. You see here on this page, all the chapters can be existed in one page. Your policies, your objectives, they are all in one page. All right, and you need to connect them together. All right, otherwise, you will not be able to use them flexibly. Okay, if you are able to have a good logic, the way of thinking, the way that I show you here, then you'll be just fine. You would definitely get an A star for your macro if you can do this. Okay, so here is just one example. All right, so later on, if we are using some other policies, I want you to do the same thing. Okay, all right, because this is so important. All right, so we just need to have that kind of the way of thinking, this kind of it. All right, yeah. Okay, so if you haven't copied this down, I want you to like screen capture that. Okay, so yeah, just do some screen capture. Okay, so that you can revise your chapter using this terrible mind map. Okay, yeah, so after you have screen captured this one, you can make yourself a better one. Okay, using your own interpretation. All right, yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah, I know. When it comes to this point, when we connect everything together, it can be more complicated. Okay. But we need to use this kind of thinking in order to master the subject. All right. Okay. Any questions? Questions? Well, if not, okay. So I'm just gonna let you go. If you see any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, as always. All right. Yeah. Send me some emails, and I'm happy to answer your questions. All right. Okay. Yeah. So that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay. Oh no, not next week. No. Midterm. All right. Yeah. So enjoy your midterm. All right. No homework for this week. All right. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye bye. Bye bye.